Hello viewers, my name is Dr. Rajul Dutt. In continuation to my earlier videos on marketing management, today I'm going to discuss in this video about the concept of pricing. As we know, this is one important factor, important component of a marketing mix. Pricing, as we know, is an important element of marketing mix of a firm, and fixing pricing of a product is perhaps the most difficult task of a marketing manager. The term price denotes, in general terms, it's money value of a product. It is the amount of the money for which product can be exchanged. However, an innovative marketing manager determines the prices in such a way that the firm is able to sell its products successfully and achieve its overall objectives. He tries to maintain optimum relation between pricing and other components of marketing mix, that is product, price, promotion and distribution. Now if I discuss further as to what is price. So if you go by the definition, it is the price is the exchange value of goods and services in terms of money. What I intend to emphasize upon is that the price is all around us. We pay rent for the house, tuition fee for education, fare for bus, railways, etc., and money value for goods we consume in our daily life. Hence, the term price denotes money value of the product and represents the amount of money for which a product can be exchanged. That is, in general terms, the price represents the money which the buyer pays to the seller for a product. So, if I take, for example, in the actual business situations, it is very difficult to define the price of a product. The seller prices, the seller prices a combination of the physical product plus the other benefits along with the product, including repair facilities, maybe free home delivery, credit facilities given, etc. Hence, the price may be defined as the amount of money which is charged by a seller from a buyer for combined assortment of product and its accompanying services. Now, if we let me put some light on as to what is the significance of pricing. Pricing is of great importance to the producer, or we call it a seller or manufacturer, and for the consumer as well. The price of the product affects the other components of the marketing mix of a firm, and an organization will improve the quality of the product, maybe increase the number of benefits and spend more time on promotion and distribution if it feels that it can sell its products at a high price or maybe a higher price. And therefore the prices are also important from the point of view of the customers, the consumers. To the consumer, if I talk about the price determine his or her purchasing power and the standard of living. Goods and services offered by various producers, manufacturers at different prices help the consumer to take buying decisions and satisfy his wants in a better way. Therefore, the price structure of a firm is a major determinant of its success. If the prices are too high, the business is lost, and if the prices are too low, the firm may be lost, because the people, they consider low price to be a low quality. They associate, generally in general terms, they associate price with the quality of the product, and therefore with the help of the price, the firm can make an estimate of its revenue and profit. Profit is equal to revenue minus cost. Hence, the management of a firm can make estimates of profits at various levels of production, and at different prices can choose the best possible combination. Now, putting all these things, if I put it into the significance of pricing and into the, or I put it in a concise way, in a point wise. So the number one is the price is the central point of the economy. Now, this means that in any economic system, price mechanism for allocating resources and reflecting the degrees of both risk and competition putting together in an economy, particularly free market. If I talk about, if I take it into consideration the free market economy, the resources can be allocated or reallocated by the process of price reduction and price increase. We have, in the hands of the marketing manager. The marketing manager has to decide upon whether to reduce the prices or there should be a price increase, because the price policy is a weapon to realize goals of planned economy, where resources can be allocated as per the planned priorities of the marketing manager. The second point is the price regulates demand. Uh, this consists of, say, the power of the price to produce results in market, uh, say, in the marketplace rather, cannot be equaled by any other component in the product mix. That is, I mean to or intend to emphasize upon that the greatest and the strongest P of the four P's of the mix, and hence the price, if increases or decreases, the demand for the products, that is to increase the demand, reduce the price, and to increase the and increase, if they say in the price, to reduce the demand. Hence, demarketing strategy is an instrument can easily implemented to meet the rising demand for the goods and services of a particular firm. Third is the price as a competitive weapon. The price as a competitive weapon is of say, paramount importance. Any company, whether it is selling high or medium or low price merchandise, will have to decide as to whether its prices will be above or equal or maybe below its competitors. Now, this is the basic policy issue that affects the entire marketing process, and the price does not stand alone as a device for achieving a competitive advantage. However, indirect or non-price competitive techniques are often desirable, as they are more difficult for the competitors to copy. Now, when the competitors they copy, they generally tries to copy the prices, put it into numerical values, but with the non-price aspects, it is very difficult for any competitor to exactly copy or go by that. D is the now the next point is the price is the determinant of profitability. Uh, thereby, the price of a product or the product determines the profitability of the firm. In any firm, price is the basis for generating profits. Price is often used as offset the weaknesses in other elements of marketing mix. The impact of the price rise or fall is reflected instantly in the rise or fall of the product profitability, whereas other variables are supposed to be unaffected. The next is the price is decision output. In the areas of, say, marketing management, some crucial decisions are to be made because they have a bearing on the other branches of business as a decision maker. As the decision maker, it makes decisions in the changing marketing environment. We know that the marketing environment is very dynamic in nature. I've covered this topic, and the ever-changing, the factors, they are ever-changing, and therefore it is very difficult to make a wise decision. And now, as far as the price is concerned, the price as an say it's an indicator has a special role in the decision making process in developing countries because consumer response to price changes will be more quick. Now, for example, if it is a decision regarding product improvement possibilities, select those possibilities rather, which gives the highest price as compared to the cash. Now, after discussing the significance of the pricing, let's come up to the what are the various objectives of pricing. So the various objectives of the pricing, as we see in the slide, is has been I have broadly classified into three categories, namely as profit oriented, the sales oriented, and status quo oriented. Now, under the profit oriented, there are two major aspects which generally the marketing manager of any organization, is he sets as regards as to the profits are concerned. The one is to maximize profits, and the second aspect is very closely related, is the target rate of return on investment, as it is mentioned in the slide. So to maximize profit is if I throw light on this aspect, that is all we call it as profit maximization. There are many firms which do not care for social responsibilities and follow the pricing policy to maximize their profits. In practice, therefore, no firm explicitly, says that or declares its pricing policy to maximize profits because of the fear of public criticism. However, in the economic theory, there is nothing wrong in it with the objective of profit maximization. We know that all the business organizations, their main and the sole objective, therefore, is to as to how do I can maximize the profits. Because if the profits, become unduly high, new entrepreneurs will be attracted to the field of business. This usually happens when any firm operates in monopoly situation or have come out in the market with altogether a new product. Second aspect is the target rate of return on investment. And this is an important goal of a pricing policy of many firms. A firm following this goal of target rate of return tries to build a price structure to provide sufficient return on the capital employed. Generally, an estimate is made of say a return on investment over a long run. Uh, the prices are so fixed so as to achieve the expected rate of return. This leads to cost plus pricing. In other words, the price represents the cost of production and distribution and the margin of profit. Now, this is the simplest way of calculating or say estimating the target rate of return on investment. The second aspect is the sales oriented aspects of objectives of pricing. Now, when I'm mentioning about sales oriented, as it is clearly mentioned in the slide, that there are again two major objectives of two major components under the sales orientation. Is the number one is sales growth, and number two is to improve the market share. Now, the marketing manager's task is again, the pricing should be of such nature that it should focus on the sales growth and as to how to improve the market share. So the sales growth, what I mean by, or I intend to put emphasis on this aspect of sales growth is that the fundamental, the pricing objective is to survive. Most organizations will tolerate short-run losses and other difficulties if they are necessary to continue their existence. However, the price is used to increase sales volume to levels that match the organization's image. Further, I'll be discussing more as we proceed further. Now, it's to second point is to improve the market share, or rather to maintain the market share. Now, there are two major aspects related to this. One is maintaining the market share, and while maintaining the market share, now the closely related aspect to is as to improve upon the market share as well. Now, this is when a market has a potential for growth, market share is a better indicator of a firm's effectiveness or the working than the target rate on return on investment, for example. So if a firm might be earning a reasonable rate of return, but its share of market may be decreasing, therefore, a worthwhile pricing objective in times of increasing market should be maintained, should be, to the intention should be to maintain or to improve the market share. The third is the status quo oriented, wherein there are two major objectives related to it. One is the meeting competition and the non-price competition. So meeting competition, therefore, is a price again has been used as a tool for meeting competition. Now, for that, some firms adopt the pricing policy to meet or prevent competition. They are ready to fix their prices to meet the competition in the market. Sometimes say they are prepared to follow below cost pricing in order to fight competition. However, many a times this practice turns out to be unsuccessful because new firms are attracted are attracted in the market and the field once the new product becomes popular. The last objective, therefore, is a non-price competition, and I can also refer, or it is being referred as public image. A company's image, therefore, is important to its success, to a firm's success. This is largely influenced by companies' policies of pricing strategy. A firm with established reputation based on existing price lines, or for that matter, may introduce a new line at earlier, maybe higher, or either the higher prices or the lower prices to appeal to different market segments. So this again, it is, and there is a call for the marketing manager to discuss upon whether to increase or to decrease the prices, or whether the prices should be low or high. Now, the next important aspect is I want to discuss, or it is very important for us to understand, meaning thereby as to what are the various factors of pricing decisions. So all the factors which affects the pricing decisions are being broadly classified under two categories. One is the internal factors and the other is the external factors. So the internal factors, we already know. We have discussed earlier also. I have discussed rather in the earlier videos about when we discussed about the marketing environment. Nonetheless, those factors again has been taken in consideration, and the importance are when we discuss about the internal factors, these are the forces which can be controlled by the firm to a certain extent, such as number one is the objectives of the firm. Every firm, therefore, may pursue a variety of objectives such as maximizing sales revenues, maximizing the market share, maximizing the customer delight, maintaining image, and therefore the pricing policy should be to establish only after proper considerations of the objectives of the firm. So, the objectives of the firm should be very clear as to what are the. I have mentioned about the various objectives, and the firm should be, whether it is one or two or the combination thereof. The second important aspect in the internal factors comes the role of the top management. Now, it is the top management which generally has the full authority over pricing. We know, the top management has a role. They have got a vision. They have got, a certain idea as to what should be the price, which generally has the marketing manager's role is to assist, therefore, the top management in the price determination within the policies being laid down by the top management. The other factor is the price as the marketing mix. The marketing mix is the third factor here in the internal factors. Price is one of the most important elements of the marketing mix, we know, and hence must be coordinated with other elements of marketing mix such as promotion, product, and distribution. Now, some of the firms, for the price reduction is used as a marketing technique, while others may raise the prices as a deliberate strategy to build a high prestige product. So there is no hard and fast rule as far as the prices is concerned. Now, when we're talking about in one of the important factors in the marketing mix, it is whether to reduce the prices or to increase the prices. So these are the various, these are the deliberate strategies being used by the organizations or the business firms. The next is the product differentiation. Now, the price of the product depends upon the characteristics of the product. In order to attract the customers, different characteristics and benefits are added to the product, such as we may take it as quality, the size, the color, shape, packaging, and so on and so forth. Generally, customers pay more price for the product due to these mentioned reasons. And the last of the internal factors which have play an important role in the pricing decisions or the pricing decision in the factors to be considered are the cost of the product. Now, the cost and the price are closely related. The most important factor is the cost of production. In deciding to market a product, a firm should also try to decide what prices are realistic considering the current demand and the competition in the market. So the prices should be realistic so that the customers should be able to pay. The last in this slide is the external factors, that is the factors affecting the pricing decisions as to what are those external factors which which play an important, which affects the decisions while taking up pricing as related to the pricing decision. So number one, here comes the demand. Now, we know that the market demand for a product or service has a big impact on pricing. Since demand is affected by the prospective buyers or the buyers who will buy a little later, their willingness and ability to pay are taken into consideration while fixing the price. For example, I should take the example. For example, if the demand of the product is inelastic, high prices may be fixed. On the other hand, if the demand is elastic in nature, the firm should not fix high prices, rather than fix a lower price than that of the competition. And therefore, the second point or the second factor is for discussion is the competition. Competition in the market is a crucial factor. in price determination. The prevailing information about what price the competitors are charging for the similar products. So this particular consideration is very important if you are coming into the market where already the same product or the product category is present. So one has to look up on the competitive situations. The third is the buyers. The nature and behavior of the consumers and users of the for the purchase, say, of a particular product or service do affect pricing, particularly if their number is large. Uh, the next is suppliers. The suppliers of the raw material and other inputs can have a significant effect on the price of the product. The increase in the prices of raw material will be passed on the prices of the product as well. Uh, the, and the other is the fifth point in this slide is the economic conditions. This is a very important factor in as much as prosperity or depression influences the demand to a very large extent. Uh, whatever the economic condition is, well, now the prices have to be in accordance with the economic cycle being prevailing in the particular economy or in a particular country or in a particular area for that matter. Now, the last factor to be discussed in this slide is the government regulations. The regulatory pressures, therefore, on anti-price rise and control measures effectively discourage companies rather from cornering to charge too large a share of the market and controlling the prices. Decisions and strategies being adopted by the business organizations. Now, as I discussed in the various the concept of pricing, and therefore the pricing decisions and the policies, they constitute together, to make a general framework. So when we talk about the pricing decision and strategies, the pricing policies therefore constitute the general framework within which the pricing decisions should be made in order to achieve the pricing objectives. They provide us the guidelines within which the pricing strategy is formulated and implemented. Now, when we talk about strategy, strategy is a kind of a game plan. It is being made when there are competitors, when there are opponents. It is then taking in view the competitors or the other parties. We make the strategy so that this part of this kind of the strategy or this kind of planning is being termed as a strategy. Each firm designs its pricing strategies to achieve the marketing objectives. As I said earlier, also, it could be the customer's delight, maybe the profit, sales volume, increased market share, or better public image. So there are various objectives or combination thereof. There may be other objectives as well, but these four objectives I feel are important when we talk about the various objectives related to the pricing strategies. The meaning of the pricing policy may be better understood, in terms of, say, when we say one, pricing should aim at maximizing profits for the entire product line. Uh, the other could be the prices should be set to promote the long-term welfare of the firms and the organizations. The pricing, should be such in fact we should, to come upon to a conclusion where the long-term aspects are related to the business revenues. Another could I feel is that a predetermined and systematic method pricing new products should be provided and prices should be adopted and individualized to fit the diverse competitive situations encountered by different products, meaning thereby that all the products, they cannot have the same cycle, they are not being served to the same customers, to the same segment, and therefore the same product being being catered to the various groups, various segments. So the pricing should be to fit the various kinds of segments we want to or we intend to cater. So if I go, the types of pricing policies, the various pricing policies may be therefore broadly classified as it is mentioned on this in the slide. On the slide is the demand-oriented pricing, the cost-oriented pricing, the competition-oriented pricing, and value-based pricing. So these are the major pricing policies which have been classified to have an insight of the methods of the aspects related to the related to the policies or doing the pricing aspect. So the first in this it is the demand oriented pricing. So the demand oriented prices is related with the various types of competitive conditions in the market. So we have studied in marketing, and we have studied in economics also. There are various types of competitive conditions which prevails in the market, and according to the competitive conditions in the market, one should look upon to understand as to what are those competitive conditions. For example, for the demand-oriented prices again can be divided into various: the perfect competition, the monopoly competition, the oligopoly, and the monopolistic competition. So these are the four major conditions which generally prevails in any manner, in any kind of economy, in any country, or in any area for that matter. So I focus upon the demand oriented pricing. So what does it means to us in general is that for example, we have studied the law of demand. So the law of demand and supply states that the quantity demanded goes up, and as the price goes down, and as the price goes up, the demand goes down. That is, there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. This we have studied, in economics. So this is the general theory on the law of demand as well. So as far as buyers' needs are concerned, their ability in the sense, the purchasing power, uh, but together with the willingness to buy, remain stable as long as the external factors or the situations remain stable or constant. The inverse relationship will continue. So all these aspects, have to be remain, we assume to be stable, and then we are, we look upon to come up with the pricing situations, or to come up with the pricing decisions. The basic price level is very much affected by the relationship of supply and demand. A shortage means price rise, while the surplus supply means price decline. Very important to note here is that the degree of control over prices which the sellers may exercise varies widely with the competitive environment they operate in. So the various types of competitive conditions, therefore, in the market are the perfect competition, the monopoly, the oligopoly, and the monopolistic competition. So looking into that, this looking into this situation and looking into the demand and supply conditions, the prices. As for example, if you are into a monopoly condition, you can fix up a higher price because there is no competition, and therefore you are the only one. You go for a higher price, you extract the cream, you extract the maximize the profits, and then you let the other by the time the other competitors they enter, you already have gathered, or you have already covered the market share. So this is one aspect related to the demand oriented pricing. The second is the cost oriented pricing. The cost oriented prices, yeah, the methods or the techniques of price fixation depends upon the pricing objectives and policies of the firm or the business organization. The basic methods based on cost used by the business organizations are, so as I mentioned here, is the cost plus pricing, the marginal cost pricing, and the break-even analysis. Now, these are the major, very popular methods, of pricing when the orientation of the organization, or when the organization did look upon the pricing to be based on the cost aspect. The earlier was based on the demand aspect. The second is which currently in discussion is the cost-oriented pricing, and therefore these three are the main, basic and very popular pricing methods related to the cost. Now, cost plus pricing one is this is what we mean by is this is selling price is equal to unit total cost plus the desired unit profit, meaning thereby as to whatever the total cost is, and you put up a profit to it, add to it, and this will lead to the price for the product. So so cost plus pricing is the most, as I said, is the most popular and widely used method by the business organizations. In this method, the cost estimate of the product is made and a margin of for product is added to it to determine the price. This method is also known as markup pricing. Markup prices is as to what is the total cost which comes out for a particular product, and then we add a profit to it, and that is marking up, and then we quote up the price for the product, or decide upon the price of the product. So the cost plus or the full cost pricing helps in achieving reasonable rate on investment and is the safest method of pricing. However, it ignores the level and the nature of demand and fails to reflect the consequences of competition in the market, meaning thereby that whatever the cost comes, for example, my cost of the product comes to say 10, and then I add up a markup which say rupees to profit. So the price for the product is 12. Now 12 is what is reasonable for me as a marketer or as a business person to decide upon, but this completely ignores as to what is the competitive situation in the market. For example, this particular product is being sold at rupees 9, so it would be very difficult. This is why this method has got one drawback, though it seems to be very easy to calculate, but again it ignores totally the demand aspect and or the competition aspect in the market. The second is the marginal cost pricing. It is again an important tool for determining the price of a product. This is a helpful technique when a firm has full knowledge about the demand and revenue conditions in the market. Now, again, in the first, the demand has been taken into consideration, and then the marketer or the decision maker goes upon in selecting this marginal cost pricing. Very important to I would like to mention here is that the cost of the production is divided into two parts, that is the fixed cost and the variable cost. The fixed cost remains fixed up to a certain level, and the variable cost keeps on changing with the change in the number of the units produced. So that means if my production goes up, say to 100, so the variable cost will depend upon the 100 unit produced. My production comes down to say 50, so there the variable cost comes down, or the variable cost will come down to the 50 units. So this is what we known as the margin, the changes in the level. So therefore the marginal cost is the amount of money at any given volume of output by which aggregate cost is changed. If the volume of the output is increased or decreased by 1 unit, it is termed as a variable cost. So when the cost changes by adding or subtracting 1 unit, that is being called as a marginal cost pricing method. The third is the break-even analysis. Now, break-even analysis, I have mentioned that break-even point is equal to the total fixed costs upon the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit, and this is equal to the total fixed cost upon the contribution margin per unit. I'll be dealing with this by giving a little example. Let's see as to what, let us first understand as to what is this break-even analysis. Now, break-even analysis uses market demand on the basis for price determination and also considers the cost of production. It establishes relationship among the cost of production, the volume of production, profit and loss, and the sales all put together. So therefore, it determines the break-even point, which represents the volume of sale at which costs. Therefore, what cost? Cost again, I've discussed earlier, is divided into two. The total fixed cost, the fixed cost and the variable cost are fully covered. So therefore, the break-even point, or popularly known as BEP, represents the volume of production at which there is no profit and loss can be calculated. So BEP is a point where there is no profit and no loss situation as to how much to produce, at what price will give us as to how much volume should be produced, so that at least the organization does not, comes to an equilibrium as far as the production aspect is concerned. Now, for example, suppose I take it as fixed cost as say maybe roughly is 1,50,000. The variable cost of is rupees 7 per unit. The selling price decided by the marketing manager is rupees 10 per unit. So BEP would be, simply put it into the figures, that is 1,50,000 upon rupees 10 minus 7 is equal to 50,000 units. So the 50,000 units one has to produce if the price of the product is being decided upon as unit rupees 10 per unit, and as I said earlier, roughly I'm taking in the variable cost is 7 rupees per unit. So therefore, it gives an idea that it should not be less than 50,000 per unit to remain at an equilibrium where it is no profit and no loss. So the third method, therefore, is the competition-oriented pricing. Now, the demand-oriented pricing, again, depend upon the outside situation. The cost-oriented prices, again, this is an internal aspect as to what the price method I should decide upon. Another deciding factor is the competition-oriented prices. Now, as the name suggests, the management of the firm may decide to fix a price at the competitive level in certain situations. This policy is used when the market is highly competitive and the product is not significantly differentiated. Now, when the product is more or less the same, with the competitors' product, we take, for example, toothpaste, we take about soaps, we take about shampoo, so on and so forth. There are so many products. So, for example, if we take about, again, a very classic example of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So, these are, it is, again, the prices just one has to forget about everything, and directly it is related with the competition, and this is what we call it as competitive war. So this war is again on the pricing aspects. The more or less the prices and the products are same, comes to an identical situation. The fourth method in this, the fourth policy company may adopt is the value-based pricing. So the value-based pricing means thereby the price is nothing but a prescribed value. Now, what is this prescribed value or value-based is what the customer perceives as value. Under this method, the price is determined by the buyer's perception of value rather than the seller's cost, meaning thereby that as to what the for a particular product, as to how much the customer is ready to pay off, is ready to pay for a particular product. Every customer, therefore, has got a price fixed, it depends upon as to how they perceive the pricing. They have got a predetermined price, and that is what we call it as a value-based prices. For example, for a premium today, for example, Vimal fabrics by Reliance are considered premium products and assigned higher value by the customers. The higher value is attached to the product, and therefore a higher price may be put up to these. The people, they assume before even asking or before even selecting the product that these should be a little more premium as far as the prices are concerned. Now, having discussed the various policies, now the next is the pricing decisions and the strategies. Now, strategies, again, I've said, strategy is what? A strategy is a game plan. Now, the game plan, when we discuss a game plan, that is, it is in relation with the competitive situation in a particular given set of market or the market conditions where the firm is operating, is or likely to operate or likely to enter or into the market. So every firm has to take the pricing decisions from time to time depending upon its pricing policies and conditions prevailing in the market. So pricing policies and the conditions prevailing has to be brought together, and then the strategy or a game plan should be decided or has to be decided. So some of the important pricing practices are as follows. I've mentioned about there are I categorize as 8 kinds or types of policy, the strategies with the where the marketer has got an options to select upon. So the first is the penetration pricing. The penetration prices is the price charged for the products and services is set artificially low in order to gain market share. Once this is achieved, thereafter prices can be increased. Generally, the prices are fixed below the competitive level to obtain a larger share of the market and to develop popularity of the brand. We know, when any firm wants to enter into a game, in the sense into the market where already there are various players operating, and therefore when the various players are operating in terms of business, in terms of marketing, so there has got to be a leader in the market who is whose products are being sold at a particular given price or a given rate, and therefore penetration is in order to enter into the market, the deliberate condition for the organization which intends to enter into any kind of market conditions or in the market puts up a low. Now it is, we have discussed earlier also, and this is the law of demand. If the prices are low, the demand goes up, and therefore it becomes very easy for any marketer therefore to enter into the market with a low price. The penetration pricing may also be used at the time of introduction of a new product by keeping the profit margin very low, and is considered as aggressive pricing strategy. So it is a planned kind of a strategy, a plan decided upon to enter with a low price, and when you gain popularity and plus, then you can finally the prices are, you can increase the prices once the product has been accepted by the customers. The second strategy is the skimming pricing. Now, skimming pricing or the price skimming sees a company charge a higher price because it has substantial competitive advantage. Now, when you are in, as I mentioned earlier also in this lecture, that when we set up a higher price, when you are operating in a monopoly market condition, so you are coming up with a new product, altogether a new product in the market. So therefore, you can charge a higher price because there is no competition, and when the competition enters, then you can reduce the prices. So skimming is to squeeze out the maximum profits, or to enter or to gather or to capture the maximum market share thereof. So that is, the high price are charged during the initial stages of the introduction of a new product. The manufacturer fixes higher price of his product in order to recover his initial investment quickly. So the whole aspect is, the more I sell, the more profits I make, the more it is the rate of return on my investment. So one aspect is related to the, one has to keep in mind, I've earlier discussed in my previous video in this, that the return on investment is one of the aspects of the pricing, as to if I have put up an X price, as to how fast I can get my money back. So this is one aspect related to the pricing. So introducing a new product, therefore, with a high price is an efficient device to divide the market into segments that differ in price elasticity of demand. The third the strategy here is the follow leader pricing. This pricing policy is generally used under the oligopolistic competition where there are a small number of sellers, there are many sellers in the market, and any one of them operates on such a scale that an increase or decrease in turnover with appreciable effect on the market price, that is, the small firms therefore cannot influence the market significantly. These organizations charge the prices which are charged by the major producer. So follow leader is there when you enter into a competitive situation where there are many sellers. Among those many sellers, there will be a one seller which will be having a market share, which we term into the marketing terms as a market leader, and therefore deliberately whatever the price is, for whether we are following the demand oriented, whether we are following cost oriented, whether it is competition oriented, the whole intention of the marketing manager therefore is as to whatever the price the competitor or the lead, not the competitor but the leader in the market has said, the organization sets to 10 a price which is near to it. And when I mention near to it, that means it is generally slightly lower than the leader prices. The next one is the psychological pricing. Now, this approach is used when the marketer wants the consumer to respond on an emotional rather than rational basis. So, psychological is mainly related to emotional. Emotional is where the prices is being it is a kind of a gimmick to set up the prices. For example, if I talk about say butter, the prices for the products are placed somewhere, you must have seen it as for example, it is rupees 89.99 or rupees 109.99. So they fix up, this is an emotion, and instead of saying rupees 100 for a product, they say it is 99.99. So 99 again becomes a kind of within less than 100, and 100 it becomes a 100. So this is what we call it as an emotional prices or the psychological prices. It's strange how consumer use price as an indicator of all sort of factors, especially when they are in unfamiliar market. The another is the optional product pricing. Companies will attempt to increase the amount the once they start to buy, once the customers they start to buy. Optional here, emphasize upon it, is optional means extra. So extra increase the overall price of the product or service. For example, the budget airlines are the prime users of this approach when they charge you an extra for an additional luggage. So when you're traveling by with the airlines, and you are allowed to take, for example, 20 kgs, and it is your baggage is your weighing say maybe 22, that is plus 2 kg. So they say, okay, fine, we'll allow you, but you have to pay a little more. So this is what is mean by an optional product pricing. And therefore the cost of the ticket goes up, because if 20 kg was allowed as per the policy, and now you are taking 22, so your ticket will have an additional cost being put up. So you are not traveling, for example, instead of rupees 1000 on a ticket with 20,000 with 20 kgs baggage, now you are traveling with say 1200 rupees, and 200 rupees would be an optional product pricing. One has to pay for the extra baggage. So the next one is the captive product pricing. Now, when the products have complements, companies will charge a premium price since the consumer has no choice. For example, if I take say a razor manufacturer will charge a low price for the first plastic razor and recoup its margin and more from the subsequent sales, from the sales of the blades to fit into this razor. So again, the blade charges are pretty high, and once you buy the razor, they again it's a strategy is being made so that subsequently when one buys the blades, the blades are of higher price. So this is being called as a captive. The initial one was a low cost, but the blades are costly than the razor, and therefore this is the combination of this kind of pricing strategy has been called as captive product pricing. The next is the promotional pricing. Pricing to promote a product is a very common application. There are many examples of promotional pricing, including approaches such as buy one, get one free, money off voucher, discounts, coupons, and all these are the promotional pricing where a particular price the product is being sold, and with that, and options of the option is being given so that the consumers, they weigh about the pricing as to how much extra and how much more they are getting within the same price. So this is a very effective promotional tool in marketing. And the last is here is the premium pricing. Using a high price where there is a unique brand. This approach is used where a substantial competitive advantage exists and marketer is safe in the knowledge that they can charge a relatively high price. So premium price process, for example, the product categories, related with wines and liquors and maybe perfumes and so forth, where premium pricing are being put for the products, and the people or the customers, they usually buy the premium pricing products. Maybe there are so many aspects related to it. I'll be dealing with in the coming these promotions aspect, when I'll be discussing with advertising or the promotional aspects of personal selling. So that's all for in this video, and this completes the pricing, the concept of pricing and the pricing decisions.